Hello, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Today I want to show you kind of in the middle of a conversion process and repair, and this is HG's telephone. And HG always sends in these really cool telephones, and this one is a PTT, and these are generally post office telephones, and he gets them over in Europe, and basically they're just really cool kind of telephones, and they always have some type of conversion that we have to do to them. In this case, this telephone would only dial out in pulse, and even though it has a keypad, this board here had to be taken out. So basically what we're doing here is we're going to go ahead and set this aside. We have a whole bunch of parts here, and so the keypad had to be wired. We're going to kind of hybrid this board, or this telephone, because what we're going to do is we're going to use some of the electronics or some of the design here, because he has what's called a mother-in-law telephone here. He's got the little receiver here, and then here's part of the back of the phone. We did do an initial checkout of this telephone. This has got a schematic on it, and this basically holds this little prong here. It looks like a pitchfork. Basically holds the mother-in-law receiver. And then we have our handset here. And this telephone's probably been through a few changes in its life. Here's the body to it. Because this telephone was probably rotary when it started out. And even though it was rotary when it started out, someone had later on installed, gives you kind of a look at this telephone here. They have installed a keypad, which is still rotary. And this is the keypad to it. So I'm assuming that it was rotary at one time, and then this keypad was installed for the punch buttons, but it was still dialing out in pulse. And there's no way, what you see here is where I'm trying to go through the process of hybriding this telephone, where we have a PC board for our Touchtone and some other functions like our light that you will see on the front panel. Here we have the keys, and then you see another little switch that we had to do for redial. And I can't tip that up too high or buttons will fall out. What I want to show you on this keypad, though, it's very unique. We've done another telephone. We've done several telephones for HG, but we had another telephone that was similar to this keypad here. And it's pretty, the design is pretty ingenious, because what they do here is when you go ahead and put this contact in, you push down and it returns. And most of the time with a keypad like this, it would return with a spring or a keypad, a rubber keypad. In this design, what actually happens here, and I'll try to lift this up a little bit for you, is there's a plate of metal underneath this keypad. And we're kind of in the middle of this, so I can't take this board up too far. But what happens is there's a piece of metal in here, and it has magnets. And when you push, every one of these keys has a little circular magnet behind it, underneath that metal. And what happens when you push this key, that metal that's holding that magnet, actually you're pushing the magnet down, but yet that magnet retracts to the metal and lifts your key. So it's a really cool design, and we've had another one in here that's similar. So that's really cool. What we want to do here now is I'm going to go ahead and plug this board in. If you watch the analyzer, now this is going to be our indicator light that indicates that the telephone is on when you lift it off the receiver off the hook switch. And then what we're going to do is we're going to dial a couple of numbers here if you watch the analyzer. And I'll just stop there. But basically what it comes down to is HG always has these cool telephones that he sends in, and they always end up being really interesting types of conversions and repairs. So I want to kind of set that to the side now. Another thing I want to show you is, since this telephone was of the age and did not have a bell in it, because there's no room for a bell basically, we are going to put in a solenoid. And this is not uncommon. Sometimes we'll use things like that in telephones when we don't have the room to use them. And we'll kind of give you a little test here of what this is going to sound like. And some of these telephones did sound like this from other parts of the country, because or the world, they would use little solenoids. Let that go a couple times. Let that go one more time. We'll stop the analyzer. And that is so we can have the room that we need in this telephone, because there's not enough room with everything going on. And I can't really pick up the telephone right now and show you. There's a massive connection block here in the back. And this is the way the hook switch works basically. Try to pick that up and show it to you. And it's a PTT telephone, so it's just a very cool design, and it's really neat to see these foreign telephones the way they designed them and built them. Now another thing that I'm going to do is, we've already added a modular line cord to it. When it came in, this is all that was hanging off of the telephone to connect it up. Somebody had cut the telephone away from its plug or its modular adapter that they would use in their country, and so that was done away with. So what I want to do now is give you some dial tone. And then I also want to give you let you listen to the mother-in-law receiver. This is the mother-in-law receiver. So what we're doing, since the circuitry on this telephone, I'm going to go ahead and that hangs up, on hook, off hook, on hook, off hook, back on hook. So what we're doing here is we're doing a hybrid situation, because what we have here that's original to the telephone is our electronics that works the handset and the mother-in-law receiver. And so we're going to go ahead and utilize that with the telephone, and that part of it will stay original. The keypad that it came in with, that is most likely a replacement, probably had a rotary dial in here, because although this keypad came with a telephone, it was probably installed later on, and it's just a little bit too small for this opening. So that tells me there was probably a rotary in there at one time. And so this is still of the age where they wanted to go and make it look newer with the push button design, but yet it's still dialed out in rotary or in pulse. And so now that's where our hybrid comes in, where we take a tone generator board and we make all the connections, and this light here was original to the phone. It would come on and you could see the light, the LED, but what would happen is it really didn't have much function. Now when you go through your pulses, the light might have flickered a little bit, but when you're in a touch-tone mode, there's no pulses to go by. It's more of a sine wave and a frequency. So what really happens here is the light just stays bright. It's an indicator that you're on the phone. And another thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a switch somewhere on this telephone to turn the solenoid off, the ringer. And you know, there's so much going on here with this big block back here that they make all their connections with. I'm going to try to show that to you real quick. Disconnect some of this and move it away. That there's not really a lot of room to be putting switches on this telephone. And so we're just going to have to see what we can do. But HG always likes to have a switch to be able to turn off the ringer. And since this solenoid is more of a mechanical knocking noise, it would probably be best that it did have a switch on it so that he could turn it off. Well, we're just going to have to try to find out where we can install it. And this sits on the back here like that and holds the mother-in-law receiver here. And really what this came down to is why they have two receivers is because of the reception sometimes in the foreign country. Maybe, you know, the reception wasn't real good, and you could put the handset up to you and talk in it, and then if the room was noisy or the reception was bad, you could go for the mother-in-law receiver and put it on like headphones, so you could have one ear with the receiver capsule, the mother-in-law capsule, and then your handset, and it was almost like wearing a set of headphones and you could hear better. And so whether the room was noisy or whether there was bad reception, you know, that's basically how that, you know, came to be, where they had these, what they called the mother-in-law receivers. And like she was listening in, she'd only be a couple of feet away from you because they don't give you that much wire. It's not like she sat in the next room and listened to your phone call, although I'm sure that went on quite often. But anyway, we're just kind of in the middle of the road, and we're going to kind of take a break from this video and start working on all this again, putting it together, getting everything organized, and so we'll be back here in a little bit. We've got to take a break. Okay, we're back now, and we've pretty much finished up everything that we needed to do to this telephone. As you've seen in the earlier part of the video, before we took a break, we had quite of, you know, we were in the middle of the process of putting everything together and getting everything straightened out. And now what we have is our keypad is actually touch-tone now. And then this red light that was right here on the telephone is now green. I wanted to go with a green light instead of a red light because when you're off hook and you're using the telephone, I just think green is a better indicator, and it goes a lot nicer with a telephone. We also snuck in a little button here that is between the star and 0 and right below it, and this button is for redial. So now HG can have his redial, and we're going to kind of go through everything with the telephone and do some final checks here. We also have his line cord on there, and everything's been installed. So let's go ahead and do some checks. Go ahead and plug it into the analyzer. I'm going to let that go a couple times. Now remember, we had to put a solenoid in it because of the fact that a bell would be too big to install in it. Go ahead and give you some dial tone here. And we're going to go ahead and dial our numbers. So if you watch the analyzer here, I'm going to end in a 2. I'm going to hang up. I'm going to hit redial. Now that's going to end in a 2, and now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and transmit into the handset. If you watch the analyzer, that's an indication of 100% modulation every time you see that red light on the analyzer. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hang up. I'm going to swing the telephone around because this has the mother-in-law receiver on it. And so what we want to do here is I want to take the handset off the hook switch. I want to give you some dial tone. I think I hit the hook switch when there's some dial tone. And now what I want to do is take the mother-in-law handset and I want to bring it over and give you some dial tone from that. And then we have our handset that also has dial tone. And you can see how neat that this mother-in-law receiver just tucks right in to the telephone. And so that's pretty cool. It's really a very nice telephone. HG always has these really cool telephones that he sends in. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get the handset back where it belongs. And I want to show you something about the hook switch that I had, or the ringer switch that I had to put on it. I didn't want to make any kind of holes in the body. The body is in too nice a shape to put any kind of holes in it, and we were really pressed for room. We just didn't have any kind of a lot of places to put this little switch. So I'm not jumping up and down about where I had to put the switch. But we did install a little switch right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the ring cycle. And it's off right now. I'm going to let the ring cycle go a couple times. Now on the next ring cycle, I'm going to go ahead and flip the switch up. I'll let that go a couple times. Turn it off. I'll catch it on the ring cycle. Turn it off. Catch it on the ring cycle. Okay, so we know that that works now, but we were really didn't have much room to put it anywhere, and I just did not want to sacrifice the body on this telephone. It's too nice of a telephone to put any holes in the body, and so we had to go through the bottom cover. And sometimes you just have to do what you have to do to get the job done, and that was the best place to put it. And I want to show you here, this is how the cords came out originally, and that's how they still come out. You have your handset cord, and then you have your mother-in-law cord, and then also you have your line cord, and they all come out of this neat little factory opening here. And so it's just a really cool telephone. And you know, I think HG is going to really like to use this telephone and have a good time with it, because it's just a really nice telephone. And the keypad was a little bit of an issue, because I do believe I think it's something that they installed later into this telephone. The telephone has much more age on it than what this Touchtone or keypad would have on it. And although the original that they put in it dialed out in pulse or rotary, same thing, this keypad now has been wired to another PC board, which is a tone generator board, and it is actually Touchtone. So there was quite a bit of work involved in that, but this keypad did not fit real well, because I do believe it's an aftermarket type part that they installed in it, which is, you know, I'm not sure why they did it. Maybe just to get away from the rotary dial type situation, because it's still dialed out in pulse or in rotary, same difference. But you know, since it was an issue, we tried to do the best we could with what we had to work with, and I think it turned out pretty nice. So this is a PTT, and I'm sure that HG picked this up in Europe somewhere. But it's just a really cool telephone, and HG always has really neat items. But what we're going to do now here is I'm going to go ahead and move the telephone over to another line, a regular line, and we're going to call, like, say, a time and temp number. Give you some dial tone.
Online anytime at Offenburg.com. Today is Thursday, January 26th. The time is 12:46. Current temperature 41 degrees. Now the weather forecast for the Belleville area. Rain likely tonight, steady temperature in the mid-30s. Thursday mostly cloudy in the morning, a 30% chance of rain. Partly sunny in the afternoon, a high around 50.
Okay, so now what we want to do is I want to hang up, give you some dial tone here, but then I want to pull the mother-in-law receiver up and bring that around, give you some dial tone, and then I'm going to hit redial.
Good morning. Credit issues? Apply by phone anytime at 622-4600. 622-4600. Same-day approval available. Today is Thursday, January 26th. The time is 12:47. Current temperature 41 degrees. Now the weather forecast for the Belleville area. Rain likely tonight, steady temperature in the mid-30s. Thursday mostly cloudy in the morning, a 30% chance of rain. Partly sunny in the afternoon, a high around 50.
Okay. Now what I can do is give you some dial tone, and we'll go ahead and dial, say, my number, and it'll be busy. And then we'll put the mother-in-law receiver back in its little hanger. Got some cords back here that I need to get out of the way. signal there. Houston dial tone. And we'll call, say, Walmart, but I'm not going to talk to them.
Thank you for calling Walmart.
Okay, so we know that this telephone is repaired and that it's working properly. The mother-in-law receiver that we have on the back here is a part of the original design. So this phone is kind of hybrid is what it is, because we have a tone generator board running the keypad, but yet we left everything original that worked the handset, transmit and receive, and the mother-in-law receiver. So all that was original. So basically what it comes down to is we wanted to keep the original workings design of the telephone for the handset, for the receive and transmit, and the receiver capsule, the mother-in-law receiver, because it would take that type of design to run both of these at the same time. And most modern boards wouldn't have the power or the capability to push two receives. And so we wanted to keep that the same, and that's exactly why we kind of hybrided out with this board for the Touchtone. But we'll give you one more look at it. I'm going to go ahead and plug it back over into the analyzer. We'll let that go a couple times. And I could just see a European phone sounding like that. I'll let that go one more time. Dial tone. We'll walk through our numbers one more time. End in a 2. Go ahead and hang up. Redial. That'll end in a 2 on the analyzer. So I don't think there would be anybody that wouldn't want this telephone. It's just a very cool telephone, and it's very well made, and it's a PTT, so HG's just got a really beautiful telephone here, and I'm sure it's going to be around for a lot longer now that it's been taken care of and it's had its conversion and its repair. So you'll be able to use this telephone for many years to come, I'm sure. This is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. This is HG's telephone, and it's a PTT. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.